Hello and welcome to the Melvin Live Show. This is episode number 5. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about this habit will kill your business. In fact, this habit will kill many dreams. And in case you're wondering, this is the Melvin Live Show. And what I've been doing for the last 5 days was that I've decided to make a commitment to live stream every day. And one of the main objectives of this whole process is that I want to be sharing with you what I've learned, what I've put into practice, and also I want to teach you what I've learned, right? And so this whole setup, it's for that purpose itself. And so in case you're wondering, what am I doing? Who am I? Well, just to give you a little bit of a background, I have been a trainer, consultant, and a speaker for the last 15 years. And one of the key things that I came to realize during that period in time, especially when in 2013, when my wife and I, we had our second child, was that I recognized that, whatever I was doing was actually trading time for money. Because when you stop working, the money stops, and that is the thing that it's most painful. And I believe that thing, it's extremely painful for many people right now because of the stop work measure. Thankfully, we are going to be opening up again on June 2nd, but for the last couple of months, many of us have encountered that whole idea that because we have been asked to stop work, and as a result of that, when you stop working, the money stops. And so I kind of got fed up with that work model. And so I wanted to find a better way to earn my income. I want to be able to earn my income even without being physically there. And so that's when I start looking at, leveraging technology and to be able to do things that doesn't require me to be physically there. And so I ran a series of experiments when we were traveling for a year. My family was traveling for a year, and I ran a series of experiments. And those experiments led me to where I am right now. Because, when I came back in 2017, one of the things that I started doing was I started using the internet a lot more. And I used the internet essentially to build my own personal brand, if you like. And in that process itself, that was when I became known for certain things. One in particular, it's how do I use videos to earn the attention of the people that I want to do business with. And in that process itself, I started to learn how to use platforms like LinkedIn. I started to use a medium like video, and I was able to earn a second income as well as a third income. And as a result of that, in 2018, after all the work that has been done, in 2019, that was when I have what I would call a bountiful year, because that was when I was able to reap what I sow. And I started speaking in places like Bangkok and Kuala Lumpur. I started, doing work for big brands like Yo Hyap Seng and Citibank, for example, Repsol Lubricant, Steinway and Sons. And that led to a series of new ventures. And those new ventures have taken me where I am right now. And thankfully, because of those new ventures and that know-how and that experience, as well as now the expertise, I was able to still earn an income even with this lockdown being in place. So, and so in the process of doing that, one of the key learning for me was that I recognize that there is a sense of inertia right? I think many people will call it procrastination, but it's more than just a procrastination. It's an inertia. It's actually, you know, the economists. I'm a trained economist, by the way. The economists, right, especially the people in the branch of behavioral economists, what they do is that they study this thing called inertia. Well, inertia is basically, a habit or a desire to stay in the status quo, right? And the reason why there is that desire to stay in the status quo, it's primarily because there is risk involved and there are uncertainties. Okay, so the key thing here is that I recognize so I recognize this key thing that will kill you and your business. And this key thing is what I call inertia. Now, inertia, as I mentioned, it's a field of study in behavioral economics. And basically, how we see inertia is the following: the desire to stay in the status quo, right? And so the question is, why is it that people are comfortable staying in the status quo? Why would they not make that change? And so the reason why they do not make that change is because they see that there is some level of risk, and B, there is some level of uncertainty. So pay attention here, because it's exactly what is going on in our current context. So COVID-19 came about, as we all know, and as I spoke about 2 days back. COVID-19 came about and it kind of threw us, off the ground. We weren't quite sure how to handle that, and so, all our plans were predicated based on what we assume is going to continue working. Now, of course, now with all the new normal, we all know that there are certain things that will not work, or there are certain things that it's going to be a new norm. However, there are still people out there who are still in a state of inertia. They are still, thinking that it's probably safer and more comfortable to stay in the status quo. And the reason for that, it's because of uncertainty as well as perceived risk. So uncertainty, because we're not quite sure if I should invest in this piece of technology, because I'm not quite sure what's going to happen, right? So there's that uncertainty. Now, the other aspect is that there is that perceived risk, because I'm not quite sure how things are going. And if I'm going to invest in this piece of technology, what that means is it's going to get me into a situation whereby I'm not quite sure how this whole thing is going to play out, right? And so as a result of that it's something that I think many people are not taking action. They are still in a state of inertia. Hi there, Mark. How's it going? I every time I see your face, it just makes me smile. Thank you for leaving a comment, and thank you for letting me know that you are here. I appreciate that. And once again, that is Mark from the Netherlands. All right, so let's get back to our discussion here. We say that people are in a state of inertia, right? They're not quite sure. There is a fair amount of uncertainty, and they also perceive that there is a fair amount of risk. And so as a result that they rather be in the current state, right? They rather not make any changes. So, what does that mean for us as a business? I think one of the key things that we need to recognize is that at any point in time, people, there will definitely be people who are in that state of inertia. Primarily, there could be a few reasons. Primarily, the reason would be I'm not quite sure if you are the best person to help me, right? That would be reason number one. I mean, it's the first time I'm seeing you, or I've not heard of you. I have not heard of anyone, or I do not know about of anyone who have worked with you. And so as a result of that, I'm a little adverse to want to take that risk and work with you because I don't know you, right? So the reason why people are in a state of inertia is because they're not quite sure if you are the best person to help them. That's number one. Number two is that they are in a state of inertia because they are not sure. They're confused. They are unsure. They're confused because they do not know what's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months, let alone 5 to 10 years. A side note, the other day I saw a company here in Singapore, a huge corporation, making what they call a 10-year plan. I chuckled, I scoffed at it because, we don't even know what the world looks like in the next 3 years, let alone 10 years, right? So people may prefer to stay in the current state because they're not quite sure what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 months. And so as a result of that, they're not going to take any form of action. They would rather stay at a status quo, right? So that's reason number two. Reason number three, why is it that people would not take that particular action? It's because they do not think that now is the right time, or they are saying that there's a lot of risk that's going to be involved, and those risks may not be because of you. I mean, I may know you, I may have worked with you, but currently the kind of risk that we're looking at, it's external. And so I'm not quite sure how all this is going to play out. So I am, very, very concerned about that. So that's where people start to, feel a little uneasy and they are not going to take the action. Now, so if you as a business, what are some of the things that you can do? And so this is where I came up with this idea, and I decided to test it out. And I tested out today with, one of the badges of students who are taking an online course from me. By the way, if you want to check out the online course, and I have a couple of free starter courses, right? So if you want to check out the online course, let me see. Yeah. If you want to check out the online course, this is the website that you should go to, right? And there you go, catalytic courses, right? So you can go there, check it out. There are a couple of free courses and there are a couple of paid ones. And so that's a good place if you want to check that out. All right. Now, so back to where we're saying again. So today I decided to do, to test it out with the group of students. And one of the things that I told them is that, a lot of time, especially first time course creator, one of the biggest mistakes that we make is that we give too much content. We think that, the more content we give, the better it is. And that's actually not true, because when people are forced into a situation where they have this information overload, what's going to happen is they're going to freak out and they're just not going to do anything at all, right? So earlier on when we talked about the inertia, is that they're confused. They do not know what's going on, and so they're confused, and they are just not going to take action. All right. So that's not what you want to do. Instead, what you want to do is the following. You want to think about your learner as going on a journey. And this journey may not be a journey that they are going on willingly, because there is that inertia, as we talked about, right? There is that inertia because either they feel that you are not the right person, or there are other external risks right now that I am not able to commit, or I myself is a little unsure of what's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months. And so as a result of that, I'm not going to do any form of commitment. And so based on those reasons itself, right, you want to think of your learners as going on a journey. And this journey is not something that they are going to be willingly doing it. However, where you come in is the following. What you want to do is to figure out what is that catalyst, right? What is that catalyst that could nudge them such that they would do something about it? Okay, so let me give you an example. In my world, where I am teaching people to create online courses, one of the biggest challenge for many people, right? Two challenges. The biggest one is marketing the online course. I can create a course, not a problem, but where do I find my learners? That is one of the biggest challenge, right? The second biggest challenge, probably a distant second, is this. I'm not able to cope with the amount of tech involved. And this whole thing about setting this up and setting that up and having all these moving parts is just beyond me, right? Which is why some people prefer to put their online course on the marketplace like Udemy, for example. And so these are the two key things that many people are facing a tremendous amount of overwhelm, or they're not sure, or they're confused. And as a result of that, they're not taking action. They know that it's good for them, right? They know that it's good for them, that they should be creating online courses, right? Especially if you're a speaker, consultant, trainer, you have to do that. It's no longer an option. You have to create online courses. They know that. And yet they are not doing it. Why? There has to be a reason why they are not doing it. And so for the longest time, it baffles me until, I get started talking to the community. And then I found from them, the top 3 reasons. Number 1, it's marketing. Number 2, it's, the amount of tech. Number 3, it's things about investment. How much do I have to invest into putting up, an online course and having it all automated, taken care of, set once and forget kind of a system. So all this becomes a great impediment for them to want to take the action. And so as I understood that, the reason is not so much that they do not know how to create an online course, or they don't know how to do an online course, right? It's not so much about lack of experience, because these people are trainers, consultants, speakers, so they are seasoned, they kind of know what's going on, right? But there is something that's holding them back. And so once I found out what this thing is, what do? I go out there and I create a catalytic course. And this catalytic course, basically, it's that catalyst that will nudge these people to want to take action, right? And so once they take the action, they have crossed that threshold and they get started on that journey. So remember, an object that is in motion tends to stay in motion. An object that is at rest tends to stay at rest. physics, right? I mean, physics 101. So think about what is that catalyst? What is that thing that will get people to start on it? And better yet, get them to invest a fair amount of their effort and their resources into it. So much so that it would take them a lot to abandon it. So what is that one thing, right? What is that one thing that is a catalyst for you? That would be something to think about. And if you, my friend, if you are, having this habit, this inertia, this reluctance to want to take action because it's more desirable to stay in a status quo for whatever reason, whether it's you do not believe that the person can help you, you are uncertain, or there are a huge amount of risk that it's beyond you. Whatever the case may be, right? You need to understand that inertia, it's going to kill you. It's going to kill your business. All right. So once again, if you are looking at, I'm creating a wealth of programs that I have been using to help myself as well as my clients. So head on down to Catalytic Courses, because that is where you will be able to see the courses that I've put out there, and many of them are what I call catalytic courses. Because so what are some of the characteristics of a catalytic course, right? Essentially they are snappy, they are short, they are not like long 80 hours kind of a program itself. They are short, but they're filled with action, right? Actionable advice, something that you can take and run with it. And that has been my greatest frustration, if you ask me, because I've attended or I have signed up for online courses, and the guy just go on and on and on, and it's concepts after concept after concept. And if you're familiar with what we call if you're familiar with Bloom's taxonomy, the guy is just at the understanding concept level, and it never even quite get to the applied level. And it's frustrating because sometimes you pay good money and there is none of that application or even that assistance later on. So we'll talk more about that, but check out Catalytic Courses, because there are some that are at no charge, and I've put some of those at no charge for the very reason, because I want you to get out of that status quo. I want you to use these courses as a catalyst to get started on your journey. At the end of the day, whether you work with me or you work with someone else, that doesn't matter. But of course, I would prefer if you work with me. But the point is that this is what you need to get started, my friend. All right. So with that, we are into 23 minutes. I thank you for your time, and I will see you and talk to you again tomorrow. See you soon. Bye-bye.